Welcome back.
We're here.
Well, I did something I thought was pretty funny, and you did not think it was nearly as funny. Oh, well, okay. And here's
No, that's not funny. All right, you guys, in the comments, let us know if this is funny. Brandon is sick. So sick
I'm
that we
recovering
couldn't.
sick.
Sick enough that he didn't train yesterday. We didn't shoot the podcast yesterday. He was sick all weekend in bed.
Yeah, but I was good to spar today.
And then show us what you did to my mic. We'll pretend this
Okay,
is
but here's the thing. So first of all, I went to Pizzeria Bianco last week. Okay. Famous place. It's on Chef's Table. It's the very first episode of Chef's Table Pizza Edition.
Yeah, it actually was.
So everybody should know about Pizzeria Bianco, but I went to the shitty one. Is there a difference?
The Town and Country.
Yeah.
No, I think they're pretty much the same.
Okay, the pizza was mid. Let's be real.
Okay.
I didn't love the pizza.
Really?
But when I was there, the Utah Jazz were there because they were playing a game in town against the Suns the next day. So the Utah Jazz were there, and it jogged my memory.
It's the best pizza ever. Anyway.
No, it's not. I mean, maybe I have poor taste. I thought I had a nice palate, as they say, but I like Domino's over
Fuck off.
over Pizzeria Bianco. But I saw the Jazz, and it reminded me of Rudy Gobert, like pre-COVID, when he did the interview and touched all the mics. So I came in today, and I was like, all right, this will be a big hit. Everybody will know what I'm talking about. And I walked over to your mic, and I touched it and coughed on it. And I thought we had to cancel the podcast.
Yeah, that's not even remote. And he goes, I'm just kidding. I'm like, but you actually coughed on it. You actually touched my mic and coughed on it. So you're not kidding. That's actual. Like,
pranked.
I can't punch you in the face and go, I'm just playing. No, like I would fake punch you in the face and say, I'm just playing. You can't.
What if I fake coughed?
You're not fake coughing. That's like saying, I don't backwash. You backwash.
I thought it was
bitch.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was super funny.
I did not find it funny, so I went and immediately got a new windscreen on my mic.
You still had the aroma from the hatred and vitriol that was Tony Kelly on that mic.
Yeah, I thought it smelled like a Palestinian Jewish conflict in here. So I had to get rid of that anyway, and I did, and I'm still not happy. I'm still probably going to get sick because you're over here. You're going to be coughing up the room.
I'm trying to breathe a lot more this episode.
Gosh. Any news? Anything going on?
I don't have news. I just discovered Mark Rober's YouTube. Have you seen this guy?
No. Who's that?
Apparently he's got like 20 million subscribers and stuff. It's an amazing channel. He's an engineer that used to work for like Apple and Microsoft and stuff like that. And basically he just does like insane shit. The favorite thing that he did, and these are old videos now, but porch pirates, he would create an intentional bomb for porch pirates. So they would steal it, and then he would rig this thing so they can't put the lid back on it, but it would shoot glitter everywhere and then shoot out fart spray. And then a siren would start. So people, and then they would go 15, 14. So people thought it was a bomb and a tracker by the police. And
that's awesome.
He would make one different type per year with new modifications, each and every variation. And then he would do the same thing, but he would do it with ones in the car. So it was like the same thing, but rigged to a backpack or a suitcase. So people would break the window and steal it. And then in their car would just spray like super fine glitter that you can't clean up all over their car. And it's recording them the whole time. So you can see all of this. And then spray fart spray. And he would get like the most toxic fart spray in the world.
How would he get the recordings?
Because all the recordings go to the cloud.
Okay.
So he can actually send like voice through the box if he wants to, but immediately. And then he was saying the problem was that they kept dying, like the chargers. So he developed a mat, like a doormat that charges the box. So they're always charged right when they steal it. Like, it's very clever.
I love this guy. I'm gonna have to look this up.
I found him because he was at the Super Bowl, right? Which Super Bowl, cool. Chiefs won.
Oh, made me sad.
Love it. And there was this girl, she posted, she's like, yeah, the guy next to me, he's got a reversible jersey, because one side was 49ers and the other side was Chiefs. So every time one would score, he would celebrate with everybody around him, and then he would flip the jersey, and everyone's like, oh, that's Mark Rober. And so it led me down the rabbit hole.
The rabbit hole of Mark Rober. Nice.
Honestly, this was the most impressive thing. He's got a lot of cool stuff. Like, he just creates stuff, did a bed bug one, which was interesting. But he did the Squirrel Olympics, and he's been filming these squirrels that are in his backyard since they were like born, and like placing he like created houses for them and placing like things in there that would help them for the events that he was running them through. And then he recorded all of this, like them doing high jump and long jump. it's unbelievable.
I'm in. Count me in twice.
Cool.
Last week, going on last week's fights, there was one in particular that really made me sad.
Which one? Trevin Giles?
No, we knew that was happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we all said Trevin was going to look great until he didn't.
Oh, the British chick?
Yeah. And that one, I feel like Robert Brishchik was about to win that, and then the nut shot happened, or nut shot or eye poke. What was it? I think it was a nut shot, and it calmed everything down, and then he never regained.
Honestly, that was, it was really insane because it looked like, even after the nut shot, it looked like Ihor was like, hey, I'm good off this. I'm out. And
then he came back and just kind of.
But the scorecards were crazy to me.
I didn't hear the scorecard.
30-27. I still thought that Robert won the first round. Like he was landing all the big shots, and then Ihor like held him on a body lock, and then they still gave it to Ihor. So I was like confused.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Wells lost. I thought he won that fight, but I can't argue because neither of them did anything. So
I thought he won the fight as well, and I know I picked Wells on the show, but then watching it, I live bet Max because I was like, oh man, Wells looks horrible.
He looked really uncomfortable in there. Like I mean, he
always throw one and then run out.
It was really weird. And then that one, I thought Wells should have won. I thought he did win. You can't argue because neither of those guys did a good job.
Yeah.
But then I did on the Patreon, I switched my play to Michael Johnson, was like, he wins 9 times out of 10. And I'm glad I threw that down.
Yeah.
He did get hit right at the end. But he survived it. He looked good. And then anything else? I mean, that was kind of it wasn't a bad card. That was a pretty good betting card. I think we did relatively well in that overall.
I would have done good, except for I hinged my entire night on
Brishchik.
Yeah, because I had lost so much money on boxing middle of the week, so I had to dig myself out of the hole as per usual. Boxing midweek always kills me, and then I spend the rest of my week digging myself out. I was almost there after Pratis, however you say his name, got his knockout, and I was like, cool, all I need is Brishchik, and I'm going to be up like, pretty solid this week. And then he lost, and then I just went to sleep. I didn't even stay up for the Pfeiffer fight. I heard a lot of people made a ton of money live betting Hermanson, and I wish I could have joined the train, but I was so sick, and that was the first time I was like, all right, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I think I said on the pod, if it starts round 4, Hermanson's winning. Pfeiffer just looked. I mean, Hermanson does a really good job of moving and drawing people in and doing that game, and Hermanson is really good. Pfeiffer just looked like he thought he was going to go in there and just knock Hermanson out in round 1. And then when that didn't happen, he was kind of like, oh, what do I do here? He was kind of lost. He wasn't checking kicks. Didn't look like he had a great adjustment outside of, round 1 ends. And he was kind of like, all right, now what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, he looked good. He throws well and does stuff. But kind of like we were talking about, not a lot of guys like set things up. In MMA, especially these days, every strike you throw is just a strike to be thrown. Yeah. It's not like, well, we're going to see it this week. I think Ilya and Volker are probably the two best guys that actually set things up. They set traps. They lay things for later. They make reads on the fly, but not very many fighters do that. Like, look at the Wells and Max Griffin fight. Both those guys just run in, throw one punch, and run back out.
Swinging, and it's like they're like gators. You get close, and it's just snap down. And you get close to Wells, and he's like, okay, I'm just swinging 3 punches.
Yeah, no one threw a jab out there to see a reaction and then kind of, played the distance.
We have a few of those today. We got Ian Gary, we were talking about, who does that really well. We've got a few guys on this card. There are some good fighters on this card.
So that was just a low-level card is what you're saying, that last one?
I think it was. A lot of the guys were, I mean, look at Max Griffin and Wells. Not that Max is actually a lot better than people give him credit for. He's just a little older, and he doesn't beat those top guys. But I think Wells is not very technical, but he's usually such a powerhouse. And that's the thing, is sometimes MMA is so weird that sometimes all the technique in the world doesn't matter when you've got power. And then sometimes all the power in the world doesn't matter when you have cardio. And sometimes all the cardio in the world doesn't matter if
you're rich, famous, and hung.
Yes, if you get submitted really quickly. So
one last thing I want to bring up. So just got announced, Camu, your boy Esteban just got a fight.
Against whom?
He's fighting T-Rex, Terrence McKinney.
Oh.
And I just joked, and I was like, man, the UFC doesn't give out free money often, but here we are.
Yeah.
And someone replied, it was like, T-Rex is going to KO him in 1, you white supremacist piece of shit. I was like, wait a minute. Wait, Esteban what is he, from Argentina?
Yeah.
He's Argentinian. I'm half Mexican. The dude's calling me a white supremacist piece of shit.
He's spot on. Whoever you are, thank you for that.
You got it.
And keep the comments coming. Let's get into this week's show. We've got a big one, 298. Is it 298 or 99?
298.
Okay.
Stacked card.
Before we do, you guys, go to the Patreon. Lots of money was made. I think it was last week was a good week too. I think I was like 6-2 on my money line picks.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
You guys, come on. Don't be weird. We had to kick a weird guy off recently.
Oh, did you see all that?
No, Kent told me about it.
Oh,
but I told you about him a while ago, months ago. I said, dude, this guy's weird. He's shilling out weird stuff.
Yeah.
And he got weird. So come, see us on Discord. Our only 2 rules. Don't be an asshole and don't be weird.
Yeah, he was kind of both. Yeah.
That's it. Like, don't say I told somebody loses. If Brandon loses $1,000 and I'm like, see, I told you, ha ha ha. Like, F me. Like, dude, that's
real annoying.
That's a dick move. Like, people are losing actual real money. Some people are betting $5. Some people are betting $5,000. Like, that's not a cool
Let me
thing.
put it like this, guys. I've done this, we've done this, what, 2.5 years now?
Yeah.
3 years, something like that. And I was doing this a little bit before then too. If I had known everything that I know now, I never would have ventured down this path probably. If I knew what this could, at the time when I started betting, I didn't know any better. I just was like, yeah, I think this 5 guys are going to win. So let me just parlay them all. And I got lucky a lot of times. And if I didn't get lucky, I wouldn't be doing this and we wouldn't be here today. Thank God I got lucky. And thank God everything worked out. But if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have done it. And, take everything for what it is. So I met this guy, and we'll just use this as just in general. I met this guy at a DraftKings suite. Okay. DraftKings doesn't put winning bettors in a suite. They limit them to pennies on the dollar and don't give them any prizes. No picks, nothing like that. Right. I haven't got a bonus from DraftKings in like 2 years. So, there's no free bets for me. And, they flew him out to the World Series. They've sent him to dinners across state lines, all expenses paid. That means they're trying to keep old boy happy. That means he's losing money. He's not taking money from DraftKings. And then on top of that, they're like, hey, here's a World Series ticket. So use your brains. And then you stack 5 college basketball favorites, all minus 1,000 each to try to hit even money. And you just do that every day. And you never actually post bet slips. You just kind of put them together and then post it. There's something afoot there. And I know a lot more about said guy, but you just got to use your head. Like, I don't run around claiming like I'm the most profitable bettor. I do this, I do that, like whatever. I think I have really good picks. My betting style is like completely stupid. And I don't think anybody should mimic my style, but hopefully my analysis, my input is good enough where you can justify your own bet and make your own bet. Like, hey, I'm going to single this guy, or I'm going to round robin, or I'll put him in a parlay with these other things that I like. I'll take your advice on this. And that's what I hope for, because my style is reckless. Well,
one thing we did before when we first started the podcast and the Patreon is you would put your bet slips and you would say, this is the actual bet.
Yeah.
And then some days you would do great. And then other days you would lose and people would just tail you blindly.
Yeah.
And we stopped doing that because then we just put the picks that we like and overs and unders. And that's up to you guys to decide how are we going to bet all of these straight up? Or are we going to parlay these and that? And then, of course, with the analysis of the podcast.
I still put bet slips.
No, you do. But you also do your other stuff. But you also let people know, like you cannot tail somebody blindly and just expect to win all of the time.
No.
You have to have a little skin in the game. And so these are the picks. This is why we think that. And now it's kind of up to you to decide how you're going to bet, how much you're going to wager on each one, how you're going to manage your bankroll and all of that.
And the thing with tailing somebody, like, it's a dick measuring contest with, I'm up this many units and all that stuff. Fine, whatever. But, someone that's tailing you, they don't 100% only tail you. They're going to tail you for half the time, and then they're going to get drunk with their buddies and their favorite team is playing, and then they're going to throw a stupid bet down just because. And then the whole thing is off. So, whatever. I think you take good information and you take opinions from people that you like, and you need to, if you want to be successful, you got to take your own stuff. But man, victory lapping people and just being generally so arrogant.
Well, and we had somebody who was kind of changing their bets after the fact, trying to make it seem like they did stuff. Yeah. I know. I'm just, telling the people out there. And so the point is, like, be careful. Like, the internet and what reality is very different than what is actually going on all the time. So.
Yeah, and I knew about this person because like I knew the deal. I've never tailed this person in my life. I really never respected their opinion either. The reason that I kept him around is because it gave me access to other people whose opinions did matter to me. And so for the good of the community. And then a few months ago, he was like, hey, let's trade Discords. And I was looking at his Discord like, man, there's a lot of red X's on this thing. And it's just a lot of irresponsible betting. Nobody should tell you bet 50 units on one game. But he's not even using a unit scale. You know what I mean? Like, no one should be advising you 50 units on one thing. Vegas, your only justification is Vegas doesn't lose. Like, come on, that's not real. So, anyways,
so let's talk fights.
Okay, guys, I'll just say who it was. It was MMA Guru. That's who it was.
Right,
it was not.
First up on the card, we got Andrea Lee. She's plus 160 versus Miranda Maverick at minus 192.
Go first, because I actually have watched tape on this. I want to hear your thoughts first.
Okay, I didn't watch tape on this one, but I know them both a fair amount by now. Miranda's gotten a lot of hate, and I picked against her in the Jazz Divicious fight. You know, she won the last fight, and she looked good doing it. She just won Nogi Worlds at brown belt.
Really?
Very impressive. For a girl that's training MMA, like, I don't think you guys understand. It's very hard. There's a guy named Andre Galvao. He's like a 6-time black belt world champion. And he started crossing over to MMA. He fought Tyron Woodley. He fought a lot of guys. And then he went back to jiu-jitsu and quit MMA altogether. And basically what he said was like, I can't do both. There's no way I can be high level at both. The second I give more effort to MMA, I am getting passed over 10 times over in jiu-jitsu. I can't do both at a high level. And he said, my academy, my school, all my stuff is jiu-jitsu. I have to follow with jiu-jitsu. And I respect that. So for Miranda to be a full-time MMA fighter, to go win brown belt Nogi Worlds is pretty impressive to me. I mean, it's good. Her wrestling looked good in that tournament. Honestly, her transitions, her jiu-jitsu was awesome. I think she's going to use it in this fight. And I think that's the thing that gives Andrea Lee trouble. On the feet, I give the advantage to Lee. She throws a lot of volume, a lot of front kicks, a little bit more dynamic. I've always been really critical of Miranda Maverick's like super boxy style, but I like the grappling edge pretty big here. So I like Miranda Maverick.
I'm going the opposite way here. And I think both of these girls are good. And I think I've been on the Miranda Maverick train forever. Her. I love Miranda Maverick.
Almost as much as Stoliarenko.
Almost not. Get out of here. Stoli is number one in my book. But I've always liked Miranda Maverick. I'm liking her less and less and less as her career goes on. And I don't particularly like her striking anymore. I really liked it when she first got around.
The Colorado people have looked horrible.
Yes.
Look at Pauga last week. Mm-hmm. Like, what was his even strategy? He doesn't know how to cage wrestle. So you're just going to go like literally cage. I was like, no, he knows how to wrestle. And he didn't. He can't get anybody down. And who else was on the
Drew Dober. Lost recently. And I mean, Dover. That's, I cannot get behind that team because I feel like whatever's going on in the corner whatever's going on in the game planning, whatever's going on in the corner, they're not the right adjustments. And
to me, it looks like the actual coaching. Like it's like Factory X, but like in reverse. Like I don't understand.
Like Miranda Maverick, when she fought Jasmine Jasdavicius, I thought she was winning the stand-up war. I thought she would move around, blitz, throw some punches. And I thought she was actually doing well. And then she would offensively shoot every time and lose. But then she just kept doing it again and again and again and again. It's not like she did it once, learned, and then stopped. So I really just, her game planning, I think, is strange. And Andrea Lee, like, she is long. She's tough. She's hard to get a read on. She has good cardio. She's mean as shit. And the other thing, man, look at the last fight. Andrea Lee just like she clinched up with Macy Barber and just took her down at will a couple of times.
Macy's grappling kind of sucks though.
I feel like that's gone backwards a little bit too. I feel like it used to be better, and then now it's a little bit worse.
She's good offensively, but defensively, she's always been a wreck.
I like Miranda's top game pressure a lot. I don't like how far out she shoots because her striking is so weird these days that she blitzes in with her hands and people move away, and then she tries to shoot afterwards, and she's shooting from too far away, and then she shoots that outside single. In wrestling, we call it a crackdown, where you're sitting shoulder on the ground, and she shoots it and runs it. Go back and watch Rodolfo Vieira's fight against Petrosyan in this last fight, the most beautiful. This is how you hit a head on the outside single into a crackdown. He blasted that single, and while they were falling, the opposite arm came over and trapped the hip so that he didn't have a come up in a defense afterwards, in a butt drag turn the corner. Miranda Maverick hits it and sits, and then she gets hip heisted and ends up on the bottom because of the way she does it. So I think if these two fought 10 times, I think Andrea Lee wins 6 out of the 10. Honestly, even if it's a 50-50, because I think it goes to a decision. I think it's very competitive. I think it comes down to the volume and ending up on top a little bit more with Andrea Lee. But with the odds being what they are, I think this is a really good bet. I think the over is a great bet. I do not think one of these girls is going to get finished. And being a 2.5 to 1 dog at a probably better than 50% winning rate here on a fight that goes the distance.
Yeah, it's a good bet.
I like it.
I think it's solid for sure. I just think the grappling is a lot. And, this is coming from the same guy that picked Andrea Lee over Natalia Silva.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I talked with them in their camp.
Who's them?
Tony Kelly.
Tony Kelly?
Yeah.
Only we had somebody really close to the camp to give us
I actually asked what the game plan was, like what the hell was going on.
Spill the beans. That's why people show up.
And he said she got rocked in the first round with that kick. He's like, and she just wasn't present.
What's the game plan
for the rest of the
upcoming fight?
The fight, to kill.
Okay.
So no, I like Andrea. I like her volume and I like her range, and I think she's mean. And I'm not sold on Miranda. And watch, the one fucking time I go against Miranda,
she's gonna choke her in the first round. Are you sold on Miranda's pickles?
What?
All right, next fight.
All right. Next up, we got Woodburn plus 245 versus Elliot at minus 305.
Now, is this like the voice of God coming through right now? Because people can't see this voice. It just is like a omnipresent voice just over.
Okay. I heard birds chirping outside, and I thought that's what you were talking about. It's like kind of shining in here. It's very like, I'm
Very
getting
bright.
a little emotional.
Woodburn and Elliot. Oban Elliott's pre-contender tape looked bad.
What?
Yeah, his striking looked bad. You can scoff all you want.
I'm gonna scoff.
You look at him in his contender series fight. Chin is down. He's like fighting. He's comfortable. He looks good. Go watch his fights before that. Chin is up. He's reaching away. He looks like he wants to kick, but isn't comfortable punching. His transition from his pre-contender and then that contender fight, man, he looks infinitely better in that contender series fight than he did pre-contender. Fought a really tough guy, just throwing down quite a bit. And then Val, we've got a guy who has not fought anybody good. I mean, he's got that hands up, just clubber laying style, just swinging. But I mean, outside of that, he's a big, powerful guy they brought in because they couldn't find anybody else to fight Bo Nickel. And now they need him to fight somebody else. So I love Oban here. I think he's very tactical standing. I think his
grappling's good.
Comfortable standing. Yeah, he's got good kicks on the outside. Really, I mean, he's educated with his kicks, and then he'll strike, and his grappling is great. His chain wrestling is great. His top game is great. So I love Elliot here. Times 1,000.
I've had a long history with Oban. I have bet Oban since he fought George McManus, and that was 2021. So I've known about him for a while, but that's been a lot of fights. He lost to Madars, and I think this was at 170, and he was cutting too much weight. He gassed out pretty bad in that fight, and that dude's a weasel. Then he beat Herkis. That guy shouldn't have been in there. Beat Matthew Bonner. That was a good one. McCormack is horrible. He should have finished him. But the James Sheehan win was really good. James Sheehan could be in the UFC today, and he could compete with a lot of guys. Looking back on Val Woodburn's tape, the only angle I see here is he's got the short kind of dynamic punching, and maybe Oban runs in and gets cracked, but one of these guys is UFC level and the other guy isn't. Then, people are going to come down on us for saying that, and I don't think Oban's going to be a champion anytime soon, but he is UFC level. He's
good. He's very good.
He does everything well. Yeah, he trains with...
He deserves to be there.
Well, he's good. He's a good MMA fighter and has been for a long time. People were making huge cases against him with Matt Bonner, and I was like, Bonner was a losing MMA fighter before he went on this streak and only beat other bad guys. Like, Oban is good. He can wrestle. He's at Shore MMA, so his jiu-jitsu is very good. He can strike.
You said he's at Shore MMA. His cage wrestling is
good.
Like Jack Shore's cage wrestling and ability to transition from a single leg into a body lock and then go outside reap and then inside leg is really impressive.
They have some of the better cage wrestling that I've seen in MMA, other than maybe the Philly guys. And I like Oban a lot here. I parlayed him like a few weeks ago. I just have a few riding on that one. I feel like that's clean. I like that spot.
Okay. What do we got next coming up?
All right, cool. So we got Josh Quinlan plus 160 against Danny Barlow minus 192.
Holla.
Yeah. I think Danny Barlow's the truth. You know, Quinlan maybe could surprise people, but I cannot believe I can't fathom that I picked Quinlan in the last fight. Like, I know Trey Waters really well, and I think it was a short notice for Trey Waters and everything, and I still picked Quinlan. And honestly, you know why I picked him? I keep sticking to that thing that you told me, that like in the room, he's an amazing wrestler and jiu-jitsu guy. And actually, I saw him at a Monday morning jiu-jitsu class at 10th Planet. He came in. I wish I would have watched him, paid attention to him rolling a little bit more or something. But I mean, Danny Barlow's got hands. Danny Barlow's a good opponent. Freaking Quinlan was losing to like regional jobbers. Like, he was getting his ass beat by a lot of those guys. Man, Barlow's a slick striker. I think he understands what Quinlan's game plan is going to be. I don't think the power is going to touch Barlow. I really like left hand to God here. This is a good spot for him.
I love a lot of dogs on this card, and I get the Barlow love. He is fast and he hits hard.
He throws that thing.
He throws. He's a southpaw. He's super loose, and just, man, a left hand from God. He really does.
That's such a great nickname,
right? But the thing is, if you watch him in one of his fights, he went to a decision. When he gets put on his back, it is like he does not have a great jiu-jitsu game. And if you look at him after that first round, he is not going to move that well. And he's got to get the first round knockout, or I think that he doesn't have a chance.
That
here.
Quinlan takes over.
Yep. And Quinlan's got a chin on him. And honestly, I think you just said Quinlan's wrestling and this and that in the room. Go watch that Trey Waters fight again. In the first round, Quinlan was doing beautiful chain grappling. He just fought a guy who was 6'5" and was
really hard to deal
so
with,
awkwardly. He did all of the right stuff.
And Trey Waters has pretty decent takedown defense, even for being that tall.
Yes, but he went single, came up body lock, transition. He did all of the right stuff. The guy was just so big and long and awkwardly clunky that I think if he was anything shorter, I think he would have gotten him. Then right at the end of the first round, I knew how the fight played out, but I was watching that fight again. Right at the end of the first round, Quinlan gets a blast double, puts Trey Waters right on his ass. And I was actually thinking, damn, he should not have done that, because it's 5 seconds left in the round.
Wasted the energy.
Well, you wasted the energy, and now you played your cards. He should have waited till that next round, gotten him down early, now that he knew that he could, and then started going to town. He's got good grappling. His hands are good. We've seen him before. Even in that Trey Waters fight, high guard, took some shots. I really like Barlow, but I think he has a lot of holes in his game. And I think that the cardio and don't get me wrong, man, he could start Quinlan round one. I don't think he's going to do it. And then I think Quinlan is going to take over.
That's really tough to bank on just that. The thing that drives me crazy about Quinlan, and we've seen this in a lot of fights, we were kind of talking about this before the podcast. Like, nobody really sets things up and throws hand fakes. Like, Sean O'Malley is a great one, right? He's constantly faking.
Everything he does is a setup to another setup to another setup.
It's incredible. But you watch all the fights last weekend, I don't think a single person on the card did anything other than just throw to land. Nobody threw to see to whatever. Quinlan does a lot without doing anything. He's constantly but he's not actually giving a feint or causing a reaction. It almost looks like he's doing it just to look like he really knows what he's doing, but doesn't actually cause a reaction from anybody.
Well, that's the thing, is I think these guys think they're going to get a reaction. They're trying to get a reaction. And when the reaction doesn't come, they don't know how to adjust.
They don't just throw.
They don't know how to press in a little bit or tease it a little bit or throw a jab to create a reaction. And so they just keep doing these movements.
If you blocked the screen on his opponent and just showed me just his tape, I'd be like, this guy's sick. Like the movement that he does, and he's really dynamic. But then the actual punching is the part that I have the issue with. And Barlow's almost the opposite. Like he's just calm, chilling, smooth, and then cracks.
He just snipes it.
Yeah, he snipes it. So it'll be an interesting fight. I can see your play on the dog here. It almost makes me want to switch, but
what do we got next?
All right, next up we got Ming Zhang minus 130 against Brenton Ribeiro plus 110.
Zhang. Zhang. I think that's Zhang in Chinese is how it's pronounced.
Okay.
I don't know, but I'm going to call him Zhang. And if I have butchered that, like I butcher every name, actually, that's probably the one thing I'll get right.
Fat Piano, let us know.
Yeah, feel free. So Zhang is fine. He's a big Chinese man.
Wait, what do you mean fine? Like what kind of fine?
Oh, he's
like,
gorgeous.
He's fine. Like, he's handsome guy.
He's gorgeous Chinese man. The thing with him is he's a little wide in his hands, and he doesn't have like crazy knockout power, and he's very hittable.
Yeah.
And he's like, he wants to be a brawl. He doesn't know is he a technician or a brawler, and I think he's fine, but I don't think that he's very good anywhere. And when I say very good, I mean like good, like he's fine. But Ribeiro, he's long. He has the longest forearms on the planet. He's going to have a very long reach, and he throws big punches down the middle. And if you press him, he throws these big wide looping hooks, and that's actually where he doesn't do that well. But man, when he fires down the middle, they are good, big, strong punches. He grapples well. He does the right stuff. I really like Ribeiro here, and I thought Ribeiro was a favorite last time I looked, and then I looked again maybe last night, and he was now a dog, and I was like, whoa, how did that line flip? I mean, is Zhang just going to like wear him out? Is that? But I mean, Ribeiro's cardio looks good. Even his jiu-jitsu looks good. He'll get back up. He does the right stuff. He's a little sloppy, but I don't think it's going to matter here because I think he's going to find the mark.
It's because the fight before his Contender Series fight, he got put on death's door. Somehow reverse,
from ground and pound, right? From the guard.
Everything though.
Yeah.
The cage door shutting was enough to rock his shin. And then he went into that fight as one of the biggest underdogs. It's funny, both of these guys.
And looked amazing.
He looked fine.
In the fight. I mean, fight.
He was fine. He was fine. Because he was losing the whole fight until you're right, he landed that like, it's like fucking 8 feet of ground that he covers.
Yeah.
Like he like winds it back. He's like leaning back, and then like Mr. Fantastic, like his arms just go like 20 feet across the cage, and he snapped dude's head back, and he calls him on, says, let's go, stepped up in his face, and then got hit again, and that's what finished the fight. He looked better there than he had ever looked before.
Yeah.
And that was against the best opponent that he's ever fought. And I played my Chinaman early, because Pierce had told me about it. Big Bird had said, hey, go ahead and play that. So I played him early, and I'm watching film, and I'm like, man, I've made a grave mistake here. Not that I don't think that he can win. I think there's definitely something for him. And, the UFC is like always trying to give these Chinese athletes, trying to give them wins. And, if he's going to get a win.
Man, let's look at his record. He's got
get it.
His last loss. Let's tell the people, the viewers, this is for them, not for you.
I get it.
His last loss was a while ago. It was 2019 against an 0-0 opponent. Beat a 4-0 guy, which, hey, that's impressive. Beating him 1-2, 8-5, 2-2, 5-8, 6-9, 1-3. He beat George Tokos, who looked out of his element, man. Like he just showed up. Right? I mean, he did not look good in that fight at all. I just for all of the holes that Ribeiro has, first of all, he's got 81-inch reach versus 75-inch reach. So he's going to have a long reach on him. But, and even the guys he's losing to, like he lost the punches, David Barkhoudarian, 13-4. The ground and pound one was weird. That was a 19-7 guy. But he's got good wins. He knows how to fight good people. And I like his range, his height, and his power.
I'm with you. I just like the Zhang. How did you say it?
Zhang.
He squares up 3 inches from your face.
Yes.
And he's fine. He's throwing elbows. He has really good striking and things that he's throws to the body. But then he'll stand right in front of you and squares up, eats 5 punches on the head, and then fires
and
back.
His hands aren't even glued to his head. They're like in almost a Muay Thai stance right there.
I'm very nervous for this bet. I'm going to have to figure out a way to reduce my risk a little bit. Yeah. As a pick, because I'm already on him, I'm going to go with Zhang. Okay. I'm going to go with him, but I'm terrified of this wager.
All right, next up, we got the biggest favorite on the card, Rinya Nakamura at minus 1,100 versus the biggest dog on the card, Carlos Vera at plus 700.
What ethnicity is Carlos Vera? Where's he from?
Venezuela or something, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But he trains here in the States. He
Texas,
has for,
yeah.
Is it Texas or Florida?
No, I think Texas.
Okay.
He fights in Fury.
Yeah. Am I up or you up?
I mean, we're probably just going to agree on this one.
Rinya Nakamura is amazing. Carlos Vera, the only shot that he has is a guillotine, because he's got a good guillotine. His last few fights are guillotine wins. He actually does something that I love.
Can you imagine Rinya goes to shoot a blast double and he just sneaks it in?
I'm actually not even worried about the blast double. What I'm worried about is, if you look, I think it was 2 fights ago. His last 2 fights were guillotines. I think it was 2 fights ago. He gets taken down. Somebody has his back, like their referee's position, just tight waist. And he's sitting there and just turns, wraps up the neck, falls all the way through, finishes a guillotine. And I actually really like that.
That's an old Jeff Glover technique.
Yes, it's an old Jeff Glover technique. And he hits it and he finishes it. So, and then standing, the thing with Vera is he's not great, but he's southpaw for the most part. He will play southpaw. He will switch a little bit. He's kind of wide and he kind of moves a lot. And so if Rinya can't find him the way that he wants initially, does he shoot a bad shot or something? I'm just playing devil's advocate here for a second. But I think if Rinya is smart, he will just throw hands.
He's going to KO him early.
He's got
not
hands,
play the grappling.
And he's got fast hands, and he doesn't really get tired either. Like, he has great cardio. I think this is a clear Rinya fight. That guillotine is legitimately good. He's got to be aware of that. Outside of a guillotine, this is a Rinya fight. Easy peasy.
Okay. All right.
Lemon squeezy.
All right, Morgan Freeman, tell us what's next.
We got next up Marcos Rogerio de Lima, minus 142 versus Justin Taffa, plus 120.
Somebody just brought to my attention. Actually, it's funny we're on this fight. Somebody just brought to my attention that I was hard on Islanders.
Oh, yeah.
I think I was talking shit to Gabe, and the Islanders caught a stray.
No, you're always pretty derogatory toward Islanders,
blacks, Jews, Asians, Mexicans,
Chinese,
whites,
the South,
gays,
the Brazilians. Yeah, pretty much everyone. MMA guru.
Oh, that fat fuck.
Oh,
All right, let's
man.
get on with this. This is his weight class.
Give me your thoughts.
The tape tells me that Marcos does everything right. Like, he can wrestle a little bit. It's got good jiu-jitsu, good leg kicks, stays in your face. And for some reason, I just have a gut feeling this is going to be Taffa. I think Taffa's going to just there's nothing on tape that's telling me like this is clear. I really feel this. This is just like one in my gut. And I feel like Taffa's going to be in his face. He's going to crack that chin. He's got big, fat Samoan hips. Never going to get him down. And Taffa's a calm striker. I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. I think he wins this fight, and I think he wins it by knockout.
I think this fight is going the distance. And I think there's 2 fights to watch here. The Rogerio de Lima, who's the guy that got stabbed? Blagoy fight. And then on the Taffa side, Carlos Felipe.
Okay.
Very, very similar. Those are the 2 fights
both
to watch.
Styles,
I think you'll get the best to look at here. With the Carlos Felipe thing, the thing with Taffa in that fight is his volume is so low. And he just sits there, and he doesn't overpress. He doesn't do anything. But Carlos Felipe got busy early and started with those kicks, started with the body kicks, started with the low kicks, and got up on the scorecards. And then in that third round, man, Carlos Felipe was tired and Taffa just didn't press. He just doesn't have a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Even in the lane fight, he just doesn't have a sense of urgency and he doesn't push the pace. And the thing with Rogerio, he's really good everywhere. He's a little bit older, but he will get tired. He will fade out. But if nobody is there if Taffa's not there to push him into that fade,
then he'll never fade.
Yes. Well, he's going to fade, but he's not going to be able to capitalize on it because he's going to fire in spurts. I like Rogerio's spurts better than I like Taffa's spurts. I think Taffa has better power, but Rogerio is going to fire the low kicks and he's going to fire that middle kick
but
again
they're
and
opposite
again.
stance, and that's going to cause
opposite
issues.
stance. But I still think that Rogerio's middle kick is going to do a lot. And I think actually if nobody's knocked out, and I could actually see both of these guys going the distance. I mean, Taffa lost to Vanderlei just by being busy.
Yeah, I get it, but Vanderlei is busy. That's the only good thing about him. He has like not a lot of skills, but he is busy. That's his only thing, and he can eat a lot of damage.
But Rogerio will fire 3, 4, 5 punch combos. Like he fires, and
that's fine. But he also hasn't had a guy that's willing to meet him head to head in the pocket. And when you're opposite stance, the best strike that you have, the best punch that you have is that left hand, that straight left hand from Taffa. And that is his best weapon. And okay, Rogerio is going to throw a body kick. He's going to get met with that Taffa left hand. And I don't think he's going to need a lot of volume. Almost like we talked about last week with Wells. I think that his power and his presence is going to be enough to dull the volume of Rogerio. I weirdly feel that.
Yeah, I could see it. I honestly, to me, I think this is a 50-50 pick'em fight.
Totally agree.
Flip a coin. And to me, I actually don't think it's going to end up in a knockout. I think they're going to start heavy early, but they both actually cover high and they both actually have good chins, weirdly enough. Rogerio got knocked out by Derek Lewis with a knee.
Crazy thing, though.
And that was up the middle. Yeah, but other than that, they've both shown really good chins.
Old boy's 38, though.
Yeah, but I mean,
listen, everybody's going to make a case this week for why Volk's going to get smoked. And they're like, oh, well, he got knocked out in his last fight.
Yep.
Honestly, that knockout wasn't horrible compared to a lot of knockouts that we've seen. It was kind of like, okay, yeah, like let's just not subject him to more. The knee to the chin on a 38-year-old.
Yeah. No, that was a solid strike. It was. Don't get me wrong.
Why isn't that a talking point for a lot of these people? Like they'll do one, but not the other. Whichever one conveniently fits whatever they want to say.
The narrative, yeah. No, I
in the heavyweight division also.
I weirdly think that these guys know the power of the other one, and they're gonna not. You get those two knockout power punchers, and they both just stand there for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be this fight. I think they're just gonna kind of stand there, and they know what they're getting into. Honestly, for this one, I can't even flip a coin.
I agree with you because to me, this is volume, smaller volume versus bigger moments, but less of them.
Yes. Yep. I 100% agree. I think over 1.5 or over 2.5 is the only play here. And I think you're going to sweat it because these guys can crack, but I think, I think it's going
a younger guy. That dude's 38. I mean, someone better get him a casket.
How old is
for
Taffa now?
He's like 22. No, I'm just kidding. I think he's like, he's not old. He's in his 20s.
I could see that.
I think someone better get Rogerio a casket for his next birthday.
Next up, we have Amanda Lemos.
Why don't you let our guy do this, please?
Yeah, this is what you're paying me the big bucks for.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the main event of the prelims. Brandon's girlfriend's best friend, Mackenzie Dern at +110 versus Amanda Lemos at -130.
All right, so I'll lead this off. I have a huge bet on Amanda Lemos. There's supposed to be more of a reaction there, but I do actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us why.
I just don't think that Mackenzie's very confident.
Mackenzie's just like, you just can't take her seriously.
Well, here's the deal. I was making a joke about this. I wanted to tweet this. I have to kind of watch what I say, like in case Mackenzie ever goes back. And, we've had a few fighters go back to our old podcasts when they were fighting on the card and be like, why did you say this? But somebody left a nice comment last week. They're like, hey, you guys are good at breaking stuff down without tearing down the fighters. And I think that's good. So a lot of people are very...
they're critical.
They're very rude.
Yeah.
Like they're like, man, that guy's fucking ugly. What does that have to do with this? If anything, I think that's a good thing. Mackenzie took this short notice. Her training camp is a mess. She doesn't have Jason Perillo in her corner. And it was notable in the last fight, right? The commentators mentioned it. And I guess I have a little more.
And honestly, I want to interrupt because the Jason Perillo thing, I don't even know if that
is a bad thing.
Is a bad thing in terms of training, but it adds structure. And then when you don't have, you'd rather have a bad coach than no coach.
Yeah. And even
I'm not saying that Paulo's a bad coach. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that you'd rather have stuff not be perfect and have like anything less than the best, but you need something. You need some sort of structure over non-structure.
she at least had a practice time that she was showing up to and hitting mitts and whatever and doing an exercise circuit. So, actually it's so weird. Like Mackenzie's always been kind of a mystery. No, she never really posts like what gym she's at, where she's training, what she's doing. Nobody has an idea. I do. She's training at Huntington Beach Ultimate Training Center.
Ultimate.
Yeah, with Tiki Gosen, and he's basically running her entire camp. So.
Which is probably honestly better than a lot of the alternatives.
Maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. She has no training partners. She has no training partner. She has nobody to work with. Kind of has a system that's like she's being trained by a manager. I mean, that's basically it. So if we think that there's going to be some major improvements from the last fight to this fight, and that's fun. I hate it because I was on Mackenzie the fight before against Andrade, and I've never seen a bigger one fight drop off between the Angela Hill fight to the Andrade fight. It was insane. Couldn't do anything to her. Refused to pull guard. Like she's the one person I would say, please pull guard, please. Like you have to do something. Lemos is the best boxer that she's ever faced. She throws, like you always say, with hate in her heart. She's got big power. Man, I feel like Mackenzie knows she's going to lose this fight. I can't believe that the line is getting so close. So I already played Lemos thinking this line was going to blow up again, and I'm going to continue to play it until fight day.
Okay. That was good, much more thought and analysis than I have in this. I know what I'm getting with Lemos. She's a good, tough fighter with power and really good fundamentals and knows what she's doing, and we know what we're going to get out of her. With Mackenzie, we have no freaking clue. Is she going to get a takedown? Is she going to pull guard? Is she just going to swing? Is she going to back up? Is she in shape? Is she not? There's so many questions about this, almost like with Paulo Costa later on, where it's like, what are we getting here? We don't even know what's going on.
Put it like this, and this is what I was going to mention. Lemos is in the gym, like sparring with men and like working super hard. Mackenzie is at an LA Fitness on a rowing machine taking videos, and then she's posting videos rolling with her child and with her dad.
Yeah.
And fine, it's cute.
No,
it's cool.
It is, but we don't know. But
but that could be her literal training.
Yeah, and based on everything we've seen in her last fights, maybe it's better than her regular training.
Well, she doesn't do MMA. See, that was the thing. I've known people close to Mackenzie for a long time, right? My girlfriend before, Tabitha, and my girlfriend now. No, I'm just kidding. But they don't spar with MMA gloves. They never have. They've always sparred with boxing gloves and shin guards, and she looked horrible, and that's why I picked Yan Shannon against her. And they still don't spar. She doesn't roll much jiu-jitsu. All she does is box and wrestle. And now your main boxing coach is gone. Like,
even the wrestling's not cage wrestling, MMA wrestling.
It's out in the open, high crotches. That's it. Seriously, that's it. She's gonna high crotch Lemos. Lemos is gonna knee her skull.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't love it. I like Lemos here.
All right.
All right, next up, first fight on the main card, Anthony Hernandez minus 218 versus Roman Kopylov plus 180.
So I love both these guys.
They're awesome.
Dude, I love both these guys. And I tell you guys all the time, I don't look at tape, or I'm sorry, I don't look at odds until after I look at tape. And so I'm watching all of Kopylov's fights. I'm watching all of Hernandez's fights. And Kopylov in his last couple fights has looked really good. And I was expecting to see Kopylov as the favorite on the betting lines. And I was like, all right, in my head, and I'll get to the analysis in a second, but I was like, all right, I think Fluffy's going to edge this out, even though I bet you.
Because I love when Fluffy edges me.
I'm usually pretty good at knowing who's going to be the favorite. And then, like whatever. And I was shocked to see that Kopylov was such a dog, even though I do think Fluffy wins, but I thought it would be minus 140 Kopylov and then, I don't know, plus 160 Fluffy or something, something like that. I don't know. But Kopylov, I mean, we've talked about his jab and his movement. It's phenomenal.
His liver shots.
It's his liver shots. Everything is great. I love it. His wrestling is getting better. I mean, he's taking Puna down, blast doubling him. And he does a good job of staying in the center and knowing where to fight and where not to fight. Duraev wasn't even able to take him down until it was like stopped for was it a
cage grab, and then they placed him on the ground.
Yep, and then it was like done, and so whatever. He's over in Dagestan training with the Dagestans. He's the only shaved face in all the pictures. Everyone else is just full neck beard to the 10s.
He's hilarious, yeah, and he's curly hair.
But then he gets tired. He still gets tired, and with Fluffy, he's not a world beater boxing. Like he's got good enough boxing, good enough striking. Kevin Holland landed that knee to the body. Boom. He just hit him, touched him. We're there. And as much as I love Kopylov, he's not a power puncher. He's a volume guy. He's a speed and volume guy. And he wears people down. And he breaks them down. And Hernandez's gas tank is, it's gorgeous.
It's crazy.
His freaking gas tank and his chain wrestling on the cage is phenomenal as well. And I think that he's going to wear Kopylov down, and I think he's going to lose round 1, and then I think he's going to come on round 2 and 3. I could see a finish in round 3 just because Fluffy really is a good finisher. He has good jiu-jitsu. He knows when to ground and pound, and he knows when to like bail on the control to jump to the neck, and then bail on the control to come up swinging and reshoot. He really does. I do not think he's a great athlete. I don't think he's overly.
Would you call him Fluffy?
Talented. I think I'd call him Fluffy.
All right, fair.
But man, that dude's cardio is great, and his fight IQ is great, and his technical cage wrestling are great, and he can take a solid beating. And man, I think he wins it.
I have nothing more to add to that because I think you hit every single point. Just from a purely betting standpoint. So as a winner, I think Fluffy, and unfortunately for me, it's only because of the cardio.
That's 100%.
If you let them fight for one round, 5 minutes, and then you give them a 10-minute break and then let them go again, I think that Kopylov could win 3 of those easily.
100%.
But
give him 2 minutes in between rounds instead of 1. Kopylov's fight.
But hands on, it's just the cardio for me. So the winner. But honestly, as these lines climb more, right? There was a really world famous, world renowned UFC bettor who tipped out Fluffy. And that's why this line is growing a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the more that it grows, the more I'm going to be tempted on Kopylov. For me, it's kind of a pass. I just want to see the fight.
It is, but man, it's not a bad bet if you're like don't bet all of your money on it. But if you want to throw something,
200.
if you want to throw something small on it, there's a lot worse underdogs,
especially because to the body, and he is a body expert.
Yeah, you're right. And the Holland knee was to the body. It livered him, and then he
flicks that. Like we've talked about it a lot, right? He's southpaw and he flicks that little leg, but it's not like this giant movement. He just flicks it up to the liver and just ends guys like that. It's pretty crazy. So okay,
he is good. Oh, the other thing about Kopylov is I was watching, and this is actually one of the things, and I forgot to mention. Although he does a good job of getting off of the fence and back to the center, the one thing that I was looking at was how do people close distance on him? And everybody, like Puna included, everything that Puna was doing in that fight, when he wanted to rush him and close the distance, he was able to put him on the fence. I think Kopylov would defend and get off of the fence, but he was able to put him there.
Yeah.
And that was a really big tell for me because if Fluffy puts you there, you're not going to get out as easily.
He's going to run single legs, re-wrestle, and he can eat a few on the way in too.
Mm-hmm. And so if Kopylov's evasive footwork to avoid the cage was better, I might that would have been my pick.
God, this sounds like we just need to unload the boat on Fluffy.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it sounded like. Anyways, let's move on.
Next up we have I'm going to do this. We've got Mirab Dewalshvili and Henry Cejudo, which we're not going to talk about. What are the odds on that?
Mirab is minus 205 and Triple C plus 170.
Okay. I'm not working with Henry this camp. Eddie's not working with him this camp. It came out on Monday that Captain's not working with him this camp.
I wanted to ask you about. Can I ask you about a couple of things? So, 2 things. I watched his YouTube channel. His last 2 videos. He made these very public. These are very out there.
Okay, I did not see them.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you. So one, you're talking about the Captain thing. Where on camera, sat down with Captain and fired him on camera. Now, that wasn't recent, correct? That was
at the beginning of his camp.
Very beginning of the camp. Because I haven't seen Captain since. And Captain
he hasn't
comes and goes.
I don't know if he was in 1 or 2 days, and then that
was
happened.
it.
And we
Okay.
didn't know, like, I didn't know that was going to be. I actually didn't even know that he did that on camera until weeks later. I didn't even know. Before the airing of it, I knew, but at the time, I didn't know how any of that went
That was
down.
pretty horrible. I thought the way that how he said it, but he said, "I'm letting some coaches. I'm letting some coaches go." Were you? I mean, you're obviously not in the camp, but did he sit you down that same way and do the same thing?
No, he actually just told me that, you know, he saw him in the gym and was like, hey, just, you know, I'm going to simplify the camp this time. I don't want as many people around. It's just going to be a couple of us. And I said, cool. I said, got it. I said, feel free to let me know whether I'm involved or not. If you have any questions or want me to take a look or you want to pick my brain, feel free. And that was pretty much that.
Okay. All right. So then that's all. Yeah. People made a big thing about that. And they're like, oh, he just fired his coach right before the camp. This
happened a while ago. So, it's funny. I actually had MMA reporter call me today asking questions about everything.
Okay.
And I really didn't have any information. I just said me and Eddie weren't involved in this camp. Eric wasn't involved in the camp. I don't really have anything more to say beyond that. And we're cordial. I saw Henry on Friday and we were, I wished him happy birthday. And we were talking about his age and my kids and how he'd known my kids when Lennox was like, couldn't even speak well and was like, hey, Henry, how is you? You know, and
oh yeah, we were all naked in the locker room. I was there.
And
I was there right there.
You know, we were talking about, he knew my son Enzo, and before his Demetrius fight, Enzo saw him the day of. We went and ate breakfast, me and Henry and us, and we ran into Enzo and my family on the way out. And he was like, uppercut him 5 times and then double leg him and then keep punching him. You know, so Henry and I were laughing at that and just joking about stuff. And, you know, and that was it. So that's really, I don't really have anything more than that.
Okay. One other question about that. And then I just want to ask one other question. So we'll use this to kind of fill the time of what would have been the breakdown for the fight. Who is the head coach for that camp?
I think Henry is. So I think Henry is
his own guy.
So I think I don't know. I honestly don't. It's Everton, who's the boxing coach, who is the same guy who was in Figueiredo's corner for the last one. And then he's got a couple training partners in there.
So that's what I was confused about, because I've seen them a lot and I just don't like, I'm like, it seems like Henry's obviously running the show, but is there like one guy, like when they walk into the cage and one guy has to stand out and the other 2 are in there, who are the 2 that's going to be in there and who's the one that's going to talk?
No idea.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And then my other question. So he put out another video with Kelvin. Very strange video. They're sitting in the hot tub together and then one gets in a cold plunge and they talk about shitting on chest and DMs and stuff like that. Oof. But I'm
glad I didn't see that video.
He's smoking weed, drinking tequila.
Who is?
Henry.
Oh.
Thoughts?
I mean, I don't even know if that was recent or not. Like, do you know if it was recent or not?
It seems somewhat recent within this camp. Well, Kelvin explicitly says a few times, like, oh, I know you're in camp. So I don't know if you should be doing that. And he's like, it's just Marab. So
I bet you that I don't know. So I didn't see the video. I don't know anything about the video. I bet that it was just a mess. You know, I think it's probably just some YouTube video stuff.
He smoked the whole thing on camera.
Then I mean, I don't know what you're asking. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about the video.
I just thought to myself, he knows better than me. He's been at a much higher level, but I think probably not ideal to be doing that.
I really don't have much on stuff. Like I said, I wish I could say more, but I really don't know more. I know that they're in the gym using our guys, training with the guys. He's doing his own thing. He has his coach and then some training partners that he's using. And that's really all I got. So.
All right, fair enough. Good fight. I actually can't wait to see that fight.
Yeah.
All right, next up we got Geoff Neal plus 180 against everybody's favorite fighter, Ian Gary minus 218.
All right. Who's
you up? I up? What do you want?
You're going to probably give a really nice technical breakdown. I'm just going to say this. Everybody hates Ian, and that's fine. You can hate Ian all you want. The kid is extremely, extremely talented. I mean, Geoff Neal is a very, very good fighter. He can crack. He's got good boxing. Sometimes he becomes a head case. I think Ian Gary wants this so bad, and he is so talented. I think it's going to be really hard to deny him on this night. So for me, it's going to be Ian. You can put bias aside, all the stuff out of the cage aside. I think that Ian Gary is clear the better fighter, better lateral movement. He's got even good defensive grappling. He's been working his grappling a lot, but all the traps that he sets, the boxing, the head movement, his chin has been called into question, and he's got chinned a few times, but most times that's him getting overzealous or someone bum rushing him. And Geoff Neal is a lot of times pretty content to stay at range. And even if he presses, Ian is on the move, in and out. So for me, I like Ian Gary a lot here.
Geoff Neal's takedown defense is phenomenal. Ian's not taking him down. I can't fathom that.
Wait, did I say that?
No, you said his just his wrestling. He's been, just in general.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, neither of these guys are going for a shot.
That's not what I thought.
Maybe somebody gets dropped, like somebody jumps on them and something maybe that hits the ground, but that's kind of it. Ian Gary's not at Kill Cliff anymore. He ran his whole camp, I believe. Tell me if I'm wrong here, guys, but with Charles Oliveira down in Brazil.
Yep, shoot a box.
With that, I think that's actually going to benefit him in the clinch with the knees and the elbows, because I don't know if I've ever seen Ian Gary throw a knee or an elbow at
what
this
about
point.
the EPO?
So, tons of EPO down there. That's definitely going to help him out.
All right.
The thing that Ian Gary does, we talked about it a little bit before we got going, is when he is doing nothing, it is so amazing. He just before he even does anything, he's like little feints, not even hard feints. You guys are crazy out there in fight land, thinking that every feint is like a hard feint and we gotta move. He's not even getting to that point yet. He's making people bait just by swaying, and he moves his hands a little. He doesn't even have, the amount of energy it takes to hard feint like that. Oh my gosh.
It's a lot.
Yeah. People don't realize, do like the fast feet, like football feet, 10 seconds as fast as you can. You're neurologically spent. I mean, you cannot do that fast. That's basically a feint. Every feint is a football movement like that hard movement. And he doesn't even do that. He's swaying in and swaying out, and then he will hard feint and then move. And then his hands are moving a little bit as he's going. And then he's moving his feet a little bit, and then he flicks a jab. And there's so much for you to think about.
He punches at hands too.
Right? Yes, he punches at hands. He'll do a little level change. He'll touch the body. There's 100 points that you're looking at as an opponent, going like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And then he starts actually attacking and going. His long range weapons are great. His calf kicks are phenomenal. But we have Geoff Neal, who's a southpaw. Right? Am I crazy there? Geoff Neal's southpaw. Yeah. So that calf kick is going to really be negated right there, right off the bat. But going back to Ian Gary, his awareness is great. His movement is great. He really is that good. He gets overconfident. And when he starts landing, we saw it with Kenan Song. He's winning and winning and winning, and he gets sloppy. And then, boom, left hook over the top off of a body shot. And he got hurt badly.
Yeah, he did.
There. He gets hit and he gets hurt. And the thing is, I'm going to pull something up. Look, I think Ian Gary is very good. He's 6-0 in the UFC. He's got a win over Jordan Williams. All right, who's a really tough
He beat
guy
RoboCop
for 3 minutes. Yep. And then, and that was a tricky fight
because he got
for
dropped.
Ian. Yeah, and then he came back. He beat Darian Weeks, who stands there and doesn't do anything.
Okay.
By decision. And he beat Gabe Green by decision. He beat Kenan Song in the round 3. He finished him.
All right.
Which, it was probably 1-1 going into that third. And then he beat D-Rod, which is a good, solid win. And that was kind of early almost. He threw that head kick up there and just
Finished
wrapped
him.
it around. And that was really good. And then he beat Neal Magny, who showed up last minute and just took a calf kicking beating.
I mean, Neal,
that.
Neal just beat, what's his name? So
100%. Then you have Geoff Neal, who just fought Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Okay.
Knocked out Vicente Luque, beat Santiago Ponzinibbio, and then lost to Neal Magny and Stephen Thompson. Neal Magny grabbed him and he couldn't get away. I mean, he did what Neal Magny does. The level of competition is not even close here.
Yeah.
And the thing with the most telling thing to me is how many times Jeff Neal rocked Shavkat and hurt him and hit him, who I think has an infinitely better chin than Ian Gary.
Infinitely better chin, but he doesn't move at all.
His head doesn't move offline. You're right. You're right. It really doesn't. I can't help but think this is every second of this fight is Ian Gary until he gets hit. And Jeff Neal is durable as shit. Man, the way that he beat up Vicente Luque, I mean, he's going to have the general Safe Saud yelling, flank right, flank right, flank right, flank right, Jeff, flank right, Jeff, right. And that is going to be going on a lot. And she's probably going to flank right.
I almost accepted a fight the other day, and it was against one of Dante Rivera's guys. And the thought of like hearing that fucking New Jersey accent coaching against me, I was like, dude, that shit's intimidating. To hear Safe Saud flank right.
Just yelling, flank right, Jeff.
Can we clip that? Somebody clip that. That was great.
Go back and watch the Vicente Luque fight. Oh my gosh. But anyway,
it's funny he like gets personal with him, like in the middle of, you fucking stupid piece of shit head case.
Why won't you go flank right? Not left, right, not forward, right, not backwards, right. I don't want the buffet, go right. And so, man, I think I like him. I like Ian Gary. I think if he doesn't get chinned, I think Ian Gary wins by decision and in volume and looking amazing. And that chin, though, is a freaking liability once you start stepping up against a heavy hitter.
So Ian Gary, decision only money line.
Decision only money line. Yes.
I mean, honestly, that's a good bet.
I think it's a great bet.
Jeez. Okay. All right. I mean, I think that Geoff is just he lets a lot of things get in his head.
Yeah.
And then he made the shirt with the mugshot and all that stuff. Like, this feels like a little bit more than just regular.
I'm not overly complimentary of Jeff Neal as a whole and I think it's wrong. I just in the past have never been wowed by him. And the more I'm watching him, I'm like, that dude is tough and he does the right stuff. And as much as of a weirdo as Safe Saud seems when he's yelling flank right, he watches tape. They game plan well.
Yeah, they do.
And the guys are always in shape. And they listen to him. And the guys do well. And I think he gets the most out of his fighters. I think he has gotten the most out of Fernie Garcia. I think every last ounce of fight out of Fernie he got.
He really did. Sam Hughes.
Yes. I mean, like, he gets the most out of these guys. And I think that everyone is just writing this dude off. Like, Ian Gary is just going to starch him. And Jeff Neal's fucking tough.
I really feel the opposite. I feel like since this fight got announced, everyone's like, no, Jeff is really good. He's going to be the one to beat him. I almost feel like I have to go to bat for Ian Gary and be like,
what are the odds on this again?
Neal's plus 180, Gary's minus 218.
Yeah, and so that alone, I mean, betting odds alone, doesn't even matter what a line starts at because the lines move based on money going toward it. Yeah. And so money is on, look, he's a 2-1 favorite.
But it's still, but I don't know what the line opened at, but it's going to take a lot of money to flip. Like, it would take a lot of money to flip that. And if I'm not mistaken, that line has come in a lot, which means more money's heading on Jeff Neal. I feel like everyone wants to hate Ian Gary so much. Maybe that's the public's perception and the smart.
I don't even hate him. I think I love watching him fight. People get too caught up on Instagram and the social media and the TV and all this stuff, and it's like, dude, we don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's the mature way to view it. But everyone else wants to call him a cuck all the time and talk about his wife and his kids and all the stuff that he's doing. And he is a little fruity. He's a little bit hard to listen to. He's a tough watch.
He absolutely is.
But he can fight his ass off.
But he's taken the Kana route. He's taken the Chow route. Like, he knows the route to take.
He's horrible to listen to.
You know, I think he's trying to do that to build himself up. And as a human, is he great? I have no idea. But he can fight and he's got fucking skills.
He can fight. He's got skills.
He doesn't have a great chin.
All right. Next up,
we got Robert Whitaker, minus 225 against the king of memes, Mr. Secret Juice himself, Paulo Costa, plus 185.
I never know where to go with a Paulo fight.
Dude, this is a weirder version of Mackenzie Dern, because for Dern is really good at jiu-jitsu, we know that, but then you don't know, like, what is she going to do? Paulo's freaking good everywhere, but Like, is he gonna make weight? Is he gonna show up?
I have no idea. And then the last fight with Whitaker and DDP, like, do we question Whitaker's durability, his game planning? Like, what is he up to? Honestly, I don't have an opinion on this fight. I don't really know where to go with this fight from an angle. Like, in my mind, initially, it was going to be like Paulo's going to stalk him down and eventually clip him or press him and put the volume on him, and he'll end up winning. I mean, there's probably value on Paulo at this number. But man, Whitaker is just an OG. He does everything right and does everything well. He likes to fight. Like, I just have a lot of questions on both sides. I don't know.
I think people like to look at Whitaker now. Okay, he got beat up. He's this, he's that. But Whitaker is kind of a smaller middleweight as it is.
Yeah, always has been.
And Paulo is a huge middleweight. Paulo did gas in the last fight, but that was in Salt Lake City. And they threw down. And honestly, I think he got hurt a little bit by Rockhold because Rockhold was so weird and doing such weird stuff that he just got clipped on stuff. Like, that's just a weird guy to fight in that situation. Yeah. Paulo's cardio is good, and people don't like to admit it. He fought Marvin Vettori at like 400 pounds, bloated, out of shape, looked bad. And he was breathing heavy and 2 minutes in and just pushed and pushed and pushed and did not give a shit how tired he was, and had some moments, and actually had some better moments later in the fight. I thought he looked better than Vettori did in that fight quite a bit. He's got really clean boxing. He has a really good jab. He's got a good chin, and he's got a right middle kick from hell. And honestly, his wrestling is good. His wrestling is really good. And I think that's actually one area I think where he could really dominate Whitaker is the wrestling, or the grappling as a whole. Just I think it's very underrated. I think people think of Whitaker, and look, Whitaker defended Yoel's stuff and this and that, whatever. But the thing with Whitaker is I think he just really is that good. And I think nobody, even if he's not, like, he knows how to win. He beat Kelvin Gastelum, of course. He beat, who's the kid from the lab?
Cannonier.
And he knows how to win close fights. He knows how to, like, edge out a round. He's very educated. He knows how to do this stuff. And Kelvin said, when we were talking about him, he goes, I never fought anybody that I was just confused like I was when I fought Whitaker. He's like, you just don't know. And on the outside, you're like, oh, just jab or just this or just do that. But in the moment, staring somebody down and their movements are like off rhythm, or they do something that you see that to the rest of the universe looks very easy to address. There's something going on in that moment that you can't capitalize on. And Whitaker is one of those guys, I think, that gets people to not know how to capitalize on stuff. Like, he'll move and he gets them to hesitate and to guess. But Paulo is down to he's kind of Duplessis-ish. He's down to just march you down and go punch for punch and go. I mean, my brain says Whitaker, he's that smart, he's that good, he's that everything. But just Paulo is will just march you down and go.
I kind of feel the same way, and he struggled with that physicality in the last fight.
And he struggled with the physicality. Paulo has shown a really good chin. He's shown a willingness to just go and brawl and just swing and bully you. I kind of lean Paulo here. Again, you don't know what type of head case you're getting, and not like a head case, but like with the Adesanya thing, we heard that he drank 2 bottles of wine the night before the fight because he couldn't sleep. And I get it, man. That sleep deprivation is real, and that travel is real. And I was in Abu Dhabi that week. Dude, I didn't know what time it was and what planet I was on. I was trying to sleep during the day and was awake at night. It was weird. So I get that. But then the Marvin Vettori stuff happened after that, and that was weird.
And the Twitter troll, like, you just never know what's real.
And then there was a staph infection. Yeah. And then, you know, I mean, it just was so much stuff. So take that with a grain of salt, Paulo. But I think people just assume that old Whitaker is old Whitaker. And I think that people always just kind of assume too that Paulo is just this meathead ogre that he
presents himself that way.
Yeah, and he's got to one punch you to go, but he's legitimately good. He is good. He is technical. He does a lot of the really good stuff, and people just look at him as an ape. And the other thing about Paulo, he might look like a complete ape and an asshole online. He is the nicest freaking human. Every single time he would come into the gym, and he was at Fight Ready for months, he would show up. I could be on the mat doing something on the other side of the room, and he would take his shoes off, come over before he even went to the locker room to change. Hey, coach, shake my hand. And how are you? How is everything? Good. Like, and then go do his thing. And he would do that with all of the coaches. He's actually so respectful. He's actually really nice. He's actually a really nice guy and a nice human.
Yeah.
From every interaction that I've had with him. And he's not an ogre at all. Like, it's kind of funny. He just gets the shtick.
He plays it well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have Bobby Knuckles, who's like one of the best technical guys we've ever seen. So I think force and physicality is going to win this one. I don't have a lot of faith in it. And this is weird because I've got like 5 underdog picks right now.
This whole card to me is one I just want to watch. I really don't want to bet on because I'm like, man, I don't know.
There's a lot of them. All right, we've got the main event coming up. What do we got here?
All right, we got the champ, Alexander the Great Volkanovski, minus 130 versus the challenger, Ilya Topuria, plus 110.
To be the champ, you got to beat the champ.
God, what a horrible fight for me. This is my nightmare. You know what's funny is actually a few years ago, it was Vanessa fighting when she fought Silvana on the thing. I told you, I said, hey, this guy, Ilya, I think he's going to be the champion someday. I said, this kid is really, really good. And then, over the years, I started making cases against him. I kept holding that Zalal fight against him. Like, oh, he gassed out.
The Zalal fight and then the Jai Herbert fight, when he got rocked.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. People were talking about that, and they're like, yeah, but it was Jai Herbert. I was taping another guy, shitty guy, and he was fighting in some small promotion. Let me find his name. It was... Oh, shit. Now I'm going to forget it. Steven Goncalves. Goncalves in Brave CF29 head kicked the shit out of Ilya, dropped him, the exact same thing, and then Ilya got up and won by punches. The exact same thing.
I taped that. I remember watching that.
I was like, whoa. Goncalves is horrible. It's hilarious. But I told you he's going to be champion someday, and then I held those performances against him. I was like, nah. But here we are, and he's looked amazing. He's leveled up every single time since. And for me, on a technical thing, everything technically, to me, still points to Volkanovski. I mean, Volk does everything perfect. Feints, traps, movement, just making reads. He throws that inside low kick to kick people off balance as they're entering the pocket. He knows when to come in, when to come out. He knows how to crash the pocket. He does things that nobody else like really implements in MMA, period. And you look at Ilya, and he's primarily just a boxer. And he's got amazing hands. He really does. All skills.
And his wrestling and jiu-jitsu are good, but he doesn't use them always.
Yeah, not for his own offensive. For defensively, yes, of course. He's got skills. He can do everything well. But I guess what I mean is striking-wise, he's a boxer.
Yeah.
To me, Volk is the better, more complete fighter. And I just keep having this horrible feeling that Ilya is going to win. And I don't like it. Oh, man. I want to hear what you have to say, because this is fight I don't even want to wager on, because I picked Volk in every fight ever, and people clip our last show when we picked Volk against Makhachev. I told you guys that was a homer pick 100%. I said Makhachev's probably going to win, but I love Volk. I hope he comes and does it. He's on 12 days notice, whatever. I get it. I love Volk. I want him to win. I don't think he's going to win.
If you guys want to know why you should box, see, this thing, like MMA fighters as a whole and Muay Thai fighters as a whole have no idea how to box. And the reason why you should box is watch Ilya, watch him in his last 2 fights. And the way that boxers move, you can tell that he legitimately knows how to box, because if he throws a left hook and then he overextends it, he doesn't just come back immediately. He knows how to roll his shoulder, dip, angle off the opposite way. Or he throws a jab, he'll bump with that lead shoulder and then pivot off in the transition. Same way on the right side as well. He knows how to move. He knows how to pivot. He knows how to move his feet in the pocket, in the exchange, He knows how to move that way, and it's really nice to watch. And if you actually watch him too, as he stalks people, he doesn't like stay in a stance and rush and go, and he just like crosses his feet, which is considered a no-no in MMA, but the way that he tracks him, it doesn't matter. He's not even wasting energy because he knows you can't do anything, and then he'll settle his feet into his stance as he gets where he wants to be. The other thing about him, so just that alone is just why you should box, and it's very nice, and he does that. The Josh Emmett fight versus the Bryce Mitchell fight. The really big difference that I saw in that fight, there's two things. On a technical level was Ilya's stance. Ilya in the Bryce Mitchell fight was so over his lead leg, it was insane. He was so heavy on that lead leg and so forward pressure heavy. And I was like, man, he's going to get murdered against Volk with that stance. And then you watch him against Emmett, and he's not like that at all. He's upright, and he's not pressing the action right there. And the thing that he was able to do with Emmett, and it kind of played into Ilya's hand here, is he didn't have to press Emmett because Emmett is so low volume. And then when you get close, you know it's that big punch. So he would just track Emmett, touch. Emmett is a gator, boom. And that big overhand comes, and he just glides right out of the way. And it's funny because I worry about Ilya's cardio. I legitimately don't think he has good cardio. I think it just grappling wears his cardio out. And even in that Bryce Mitchell fight, a couple minutes of grappling, and he was huffing and puffing.
I watched that live, and I was like, dude, Ilya's getting tired. And then I went back and watched it, and it didn't look as bad on tape as it did in person. But in person, he was like,
I think he was tired, but then I think he landed that good shot and was like, I have to go in for the kill. And I think, he's got that killer instinct in him, but I think he was tired. When you watch him in his other fights, when he grapples, he will get tired almost immediately. In the Emmett fight, it was a non-issue. And
they just struck.
Emmett doesn't kick, so that was a non-issue. And then Ilya, that was his first 5-round fight. And in the first 1 or 2 rounds, he was very measured. And I think he was measured because he didn't want to gas over 5 rounds. And then I think he was being measured not even so much as he had to, but the pace of the fight was in his favor because Emmett just wasn't pressing. He wasn't doing anything that forced him to do anything. It was all on Ilya's terms because Emmett sits on his back foot and he waits and he waits and he waits for that big overhand. And so Ilya could press at his own accord. And then we saw in the last round when Emmett was just pressing him and going, Ilya kind of didn't like that pressure and he ended up shooting and all of that stuff. As much as we've all talked about Ilya's chin in the past, I think he probably has the better chin at this point.
We don't know, though.
No, and I'm not saying I think Volk's is bad. I'm saying, like, I think it's marginally better. Like, I think that both could get chinned or not. Like, Ilya ate some good punches.
Ilya's been known to go out, though. We just talked about Steven Goncalves.
Yeah.
Put him on death's door. Jai Herbert, put him on death's door. And Volk, we've only seen that one time in the last fight, and it didn't really crack his chin.
We actually, I went back. I actually went back deep in the well, and I was watching his Chad Mendes fight.
The Mendes fight,
because I was like, man, who has he fought that's kind of short and stocky wrestler boxing? I was like, that was the best I could find. And that was years ago. But Mendes hurt him, dropped him a couple of times really badly.
I think Mendes, honestly, at that time was probably a tougher test than Ilya, just style-wise.
So I think style-wise, but watching it, Mendes gassed. And so Mendes didn't – if he fought Ilya back then, Ilya's cardio was good enough where Ilya would have finished Volk back then. Volk's style wasn't the same, and if he got him hurt – but Mendes was just death gassed.
Typical.
Yep. So skill for skill, then, so that's Ilya. And then on the other side of that, we have Volk. And Volk – his technical abilities are unbelievable. Now, the thing with Ilya is he's a boxer. The thing with Volk is he always starts with his kicks. He moves laterally and he fires that outside kick. Then he switches direction, goes inside kick. And then as you start thinking he's going to go inside kick, he actually plants and throws a jab, or he plants and throws a right hand. And he gets his leg attacks going so fast and he moves laterally so much that it's hard to sit and punch him because you're trying to track. And then as you plant, you're getting kicked and then he's gone, and you're tracking and you're tracking and you're tracking. And it's really hard to get a hold of him. If this turns into a wrestling match, let me bank my house on Volk. Just offensive, defensive. I don't care. I'm going that way. If it turns into a jiu-jitsu match, I would put the money on Volk, considering these two styles and what we know about them and stuff from there. The only thing that has me worried is Volk old? Is he going to get chinned? Is
Yeah.
Ilya going to go out there and chin him? And then I question, this is Ilya's title fight. Is he going to go out there calm, or is he going to go out there
Nerves.
swinging? If he goes out there swinging, I think that's his best shot, but then he risks getting tired. If you're going to go out there, if he fights Volk the way that he fought Emmett, he doesn't have a prayer, because Emmett just never offered him anything to get him away, and no lateral movement, no kicks, no level changes, nothing. And Volk, if you're going to stand outside, you need to take the fight to Volk. And then if he does take the fight to Volk, I think he's got to finish him within the first couple of rounds, or he risks getting tired. And with Volk, man, I think if Volk used his lateral footwork and kicked and then wrestled early, oh my gosh, I think that would be a very easy path to victory.
And Volk watches tape and he watches this show.
Yeah, and he watches the show. So I like Volk here. Look, man, Ilya's the guy. He's that good. He could chin Volk, and we could all. But you want to? This is actually funny. So I like Volk here. I think he's going to win if he doesn't get chinned. I think whoever wins this, it is going to be very dominant. I think after the fact, we're going to go,
whoa, what a gift.
That was such an obvious choice. What are we talking about? I don't think this is going to be it's 2-2 going into the fifth.
48, 47.
I think Volk is going to look amazing and make Ilya look like he's not ready for it, or Ilya is going to go out there and knock him out and be the next champ.
You talked me back into Volk. I love that guy. It's hard for me to bank on someone getting knocked out.
Yeah. And it happens. It does. But we don't know if his chin is gone. And
that's a funny statement itself, because he didn't even really get hit in the chin, like the actual jaw,
it was like a head kick.
Yeah. And I don't know how much that impacts it. I mean, does it, or is the actual like strength on your jaw?
No, there are certain
chin?
things like I have no chin. You could touch me with a feather and I'm out wherever you touch me. But I could always take shots to the face and the jaw and the temple like no other. You hit me with a baseball bat. You tap me in the back of the ear and my equilibrium, I'm wobbly. Other people can take punches in certain areas, and it doesn't make sense to me like how and why and what. But you see some people, it's what we were talking about with the Rogerio fight. He took that knee up the middle on the chin versus like a temple shot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking of with like Taffa's. Taffa's going to land that overhand. It's going to hit him on his head and his temple. And he tucks his chin well. And I think that's a much better place for Rogerio to take those punches than something up the middle, which I think would really hurt him the way that he stands in his body type. I don't know. But yeah, that's my breakdown. I think I'm sticking to it.
I'm so charged up now. Now I just can't wait. I can't wait to watch this fight. This is going to be an amazing fight. I got Volk now, and I love him. I hope he wins.
Love you guys. Even when you're assholes in the comments, we love you. Anything to add?
I got nothing to add. Just subtract. All right, guys. Follow us on Patreon, YouTube, Instagram. Follow us in
Snapchat.
real life.
Follow me on Snap, you guys.
Follow us in real life. LinkedIn. All right, guys. Thank you.
See ya.